I'm sitting here with Jackie Elliott, CEO of the Elliott Group. We're talking about business today, the culture of the Elliott Group, and everything in between. So if you're like her and you want to start your own business and you need some lessons or a swift kick in the ass,
or some balls.
If you need some balls, you're gonna want to watch it.
Let's do it.
So I was thinking about something. People think that, some people, not everyone, but there's this sort of illusion that you start a business, everything's gonna get easy. You're going to go somewhere to a tropical island, lay on a banana hammock, and drink a pina colada, right? And everything's going to work out great. So being a CEO, and I think you and I both know how unrealistic that is, can you speak a little bit on how important it is for the CEO at any level to have kind of a pulse on what's going on within the organization, and that is not really reality, right?
Well, wherever that exists, I have not found that banana hammock anywhere, honestly. And I think it's important, like if you're a business that wants to continue to grow, it's important to stay grounded to the beginning, like values when you first started. Like now, as we've kind of excelled in our business and grown, I think it's important that for our people, our team, to see that me and Andy aren't too good to pick up the trash or do stuff with them. We have a seminar going on and we have some of our top salespeople over there like picking up trash and handing out waters and doing that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that you lead by example and you're always growing. But to me, when you really love what you do, when you really find fulfillment and growing and you're stretching yourself to new levels every single day, you can live and incorporate, you can work hard, play hard type of thing. But Andy and I, when we go out to these places and we vacation, for example, we come back with so many new ideas. It's good to pull yourself out of there and come back sometimes, but then we go so much harder that it's almost like we're refueling ourselves, but never to a point where we're going to be disconnecting or not continuing to grow. We are addicted to this life that we have. This has not worked to us. This has become a lifestyle. It's become our family. This has become, our purpose. So when you really find something that you love and purpose, you're not going to want to retire, I guess. I think a lot of people see like social media and they see like successful people and they have their private jets and they're going to these islands and all this other stuff. But a lot of this is fake. Like you have to be really aware and know what fake is and not. And there's a lot of people that do some of that and they do have a lot of fun, but they're also putting in that grind and that work and they're going behind the scenes and they're still getting dirty and doing stuff that a lot of people don't know. So, it's really bad to compare yourself with people or that have gone to different places and that have become successful because you don't know the type of work that they put in behind the scenes or the time that it took to get to where they are now. So I think it's really important to know that and stay grounded. And me and Andy, we live that way. We live in that sense of like, hey, we want to keep that chip on our shoulder. We want to continue to grow. We want to continue to excel. And leading by example is also going to inspire our team to want to be that way and stay humble in that sense.
I think what's important and what you brought up, and I'd like to, is like, stop focusing so much on the vacation that's going to come and instead find something that you love so you can fall in love with the process. Then it's always a vacation in a sense. It's like if you find something you love, then you never really work a day in your life. It becomes a lifestyle, right? So I think, how do you think someone can come to find that, like developing that clarity? It's hard to like turn off the noise, like put your damn phone down, right? Take a few minutes and sort of develop clarity about like, who are you? What do you value? What do you care about? That, can you kind of walk me through a little bit of that?
I think a lot of people are living for other people. A lot of people are trying to fit in with what the norm is, and they're trying to prove to other people that they belong or they know something, and I think that that's the reason why we have excelled, is because we said we don't really care about pleasing everybody. And that's one of the mistakes that we made in the very beginning. We were trying to please everybody, that it became work. It became who we really weren't. So as soon as we said, hey, you know what? Forget everybody else. We're going to be us. And even if it pisses people off, at least we know we're true to ourselves and we can live a real life. It's like we have these things like me and Andy. If he tells me, hey, I want you to talk to, the couples and I want you to tell them, how we're marriage millionaires. If we're not 100% in a good spot, in a good place, if we're having an argument, I am not going to talk to you about how to be a marriage millionaire. I have to be 100% true to my word that I know what the heck I'm talking. People can see past the fluff. People can see when you're fake. And I think that you don't have to have an actor switch when you're on stage and then be an later. You have to be that way all the way through, because if not, it does become work. And then you're living a fake life and you don't find that fulfillment. So with us, we're going to be who we are 100% of the time. So it's not going to be work to us. We're going to show up and we're going to be the same people at home as we are at work or wherever it is that we go. Even when we go on vacation, we're going to act the same exact way. We're going to constantly be learning. You see us on a vacation and we have a book and we're studying and we're learning and we're doing things because we're so addicted to that, and we don't want to lose our edge. We definitely don't want to fall behind. Basically, we will go broke if we need to in order to keep growing, but we will not go backwards. Going backwards to us is losing that sharpness in our mind and knowing that we can continue to grow and push forward and basically find that fulfillment in knowing that we can achieve the next goal. So being true to yourself, knowing what you're doing, and being happy and content with who you are, being real is a big part of it. So you can develop it and find that. And it almost sounds cliche because you're just like, how do you really do that? Well, freaking quit worrying about everybody else and trying to fit in and living a fake life. And you will find that fulfillment and you will continue to search. And that way you're not being like, oh my gosh, because what are you really trying to get on that banana hammock? And why are you wanting to have that McLaren or Lamborghini? Are you doing it for everybody else, or who are you doing it for? Find out what the reason is why you're doing something. You find that fulfillment in yourself. That's the big thing of not really living that fake life and not really just doing things temporarily, because you see a lot of people that are happy, that have the private jet, that have all that stuff, that are depressed. And that's why things don't last sometimes.
It sounds like that's the real true freedom that we talk about, right?
Right.
If you're at peace with yourself and you know who you are, no matter where you go, then you walk into a room boldly and confidently and you don't have to worry, right?
You don't.
Yeah, so you're having fun, aren't you?
We're having the time of our lives. I mean, we feel massively blessed in the sense that, anything could happen tomorrow and you could take it all away from us. And we know that we made a dent in the world. Probably not as big as we probably could have, but I know that we work really hard. We feel very, very happy. We can sleep at night. We have no problem sleeping. I could sleep on the floor right here and I'll be totally cool. That's how we live. I mean, it's not for money anymore. When you truly get to a stage in life when you find purpose, and you can see it through people's eyes and you can see that switch and that change, that's when you find fulfillment. When I have somebody in our team that doesn't quite believe in themselves and they learn something and you see that spark in their eye and knowing that they got that switch, that flip, or you see that client that has certain problems and you have that conversation with them and you know that they can go home a different person. You see them the next time and they're just completely changed. That stuff is what fuels us. That's the stuff that keeps us going.
That's great. I love that. So once you get started, I think something that I know I hit a wall on, or a lot of people definitely do, are systems, right? Getting systems in place.
Yeah, that's
So
the hardest thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I wonder if you could speak a little bit on that. And again, I think it's unreasonable for anyone to think that they have all the answers before they start, because then you'll never start. You're just going to be paralyzed waiting to have all the tools before you start. So it's sort of, that can kind of play on your mind a little bit, where it's like, I don't know if I know what to do, and you're kind of second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe if you could speak on the systems a little bit,
Yeah,
or that process.
Well, systems and processes, CRM, all these things, I mean, we've changed so many and had so many different tools coming up. What I have to tell you though, and I have learned, is that we messed up so many different times. And the biggest mess up for us with systems and processes has been the buy-in from me and Andy in leadership and using and implementing 100%, because we weren't 100% confident when we presented it to the team. And they were unsure, so they wouldn't use it. And we would get upset and basically reprimand them for not using those tools when we weren't 100% bought into the idea of using those tools. So whatever it is that you start with, if it comes from the leadership, if it comes from the people on top, they're bought in and they see that even if you change them later and you show why it's a better way and you're a great leader, they will follow you if they see that you're willing to put in the work. It always comes from the top. It always comes with the buy-in from them. But if you're trying to see a reaction from your staff or your team and seeing if they like it to see if you want to implement it, you're doing it all wrong. because you're the authority and you have to believe in it, and they have to believe that you have their best interest, and there is one way to do it. And you can't expect the bottom performers and the top performers not to use it. It has to go across the board, and it has to be the same consequences for everybody. And you have to show them and equip them with the tools that you have, because we made the mistake of throwing stuff in and being like, hey guys, you should use it. Oh, you got to have the meetings and go in and make sure you put your information in the CRM. And then some people didn't do it. And it's just like the stuff was all over the place, but we were making money and by accident, right? So when we implement certain things, you have to make sure you're completely bought in. You're leading by example. You are the authority, and you're going to handle, because it's another way of having a golden handcuffs. If you have some people that are using something that you're implementing and some people that aren't bought into it, then you have golden handcuffs as an employer to basically put up with certain things. And then you have the eye rolling, and then you have the arguing back, or then you have not attending to the meetings. You have all of this stuff that's just basically like just an effect, they're just coming down together all at the same time, just because it's one thing after another, then you start slacking on everything else. So you just have to handle it all the way across the board the same exact way, and make sure that you are doing your research, implementing, understanding it as a leader, and making sure that there's no other way but implementing that. Even if you have to change it, you're still the authority, and you always present a better option later. So, I mean, but people just wait until have all their ducks in a row and everything to start something. I'm telling you, we worked off our cell phone in the very beginning. We did not have a CRM. We did not spend $1 on marketing or anything. We didn't do any of that. We started from the ground up, and that's how we build our business. And we did not wait to have everything perfect, because if you're trying to get everything perfect to start something, it's never going to happen. You're always going to have to be adaptable and change.
Right.
We had no tools. We had no CRM. We had nothing. Now we have incredible tools. We have all these different things, but we've had different things that haven't worked for us. But I don't think it was really the tool. I don't think it was really the CRM. I think it was us. If we didn't, as operators, make sure that we implemented and used what we had and didn't enforce it across the board, then nothing works.
Yeah, it loses its power.
Yeah.
There's a book that I read. It's called Creativity Inc. It's like the Pixar story.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating. But there's one thing that they did in particular in there, and of course, we know where they're at now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the early days and all the way through, even into the current day, they have these meetings called brain trust meetings, which is kind of interesting, where they bring in the whole, huge team, and they allow everyone to have, in a way, an equal seat at the table to sort of kick around ideas and everything. And even though they're in the creative space, I think it's kind of an interesting idea, because everyone has something to say or bring to the table. And maybe you can't see the world in a 360, you know, and if you're a CEO or a COO or a CMO, CFO, you have so much going on, and you're laser focused on what you're focused on. And like, someone down here saw some stuff that maybe you missed.
Right.
So it's like the bed of water. You could choose to look at the surface of the water or choose to look beneath the water.
Right.
So I'm wondering if you here have, which I assume you do, and I can guarantee you do, your own version of a brain trust type meeting, or I know you guys have your morning meetings. Can you walk us through that a little bit and tell us about that?
Well, we do have our morning meetings, and obviously, they're led by me and Andy, and we talk about different things, but we make it's like an open door policy. We have everybody anybody, it doesn't matter who they are. They come with their ideas and they present them to us, and they have access to us. We have levels in different things that people are, in charge of certain departments, but every single person in our company they have access to us, from the janitor, from everybody that's here. Like, they all have direct access and communication with us, and I am involved with everything. I still take out the trash in my office and do all that stuff. And you want to make sure that the experience is the same for everybody across the board. So if you're too good to talk to the janitor, then you're not going to get that respect as a leader. We make it so that everybody has that same seat at the table. Everybody talks about things. Like I said, we have that whole, our core values are very, very clear. And we make it so that, hey, if the person at the top rev earner, says something, everybody has to listen. But also the bottom rev earner has the same exact consequences as the one on top in everything that we do. We're all equals here, and it doesn't matter. Like, we try to recognize every single person in what they do. I mean, we do birthdays for everybody. We do cake flips for everybody. It doesn't matter what role you have in the company. We know everything about everybody, not just that works here, but their kids, their family, their parents, everybody. We know everything. Well, that's how involved we are. So anybody has the the courage that comes up and tells us about a problem. They come directly to us, and they're not like, oh my gosh, like, I got to walk on eggshells because she's the boss or he's the boss. Like, there is no boss. I don't like that word, period. I don't like even the word CEO. People say, oh, CEO. Well, I don't even feel that way. I feel like I'm just like everybody else. And I talk to them like everybody else. Like, I don't like titles, so
Yeah.
it's one of those things where if they feel comfortable talking to me, and also, like, if and some people are uncomfortable talking about problems, like, I dig those out of people. I want them to be able to openly come and share things with us. And we have made mistakes and put people in charge of handling certain people, and we realize the hard way that, hey, there's some disconnects because these people have problems that I could have fixed in 2 seconds, and they were afraid to come to me because I had the wrong person in charge. Instead, it's caused that discomfort and, basically them not feeling comfortable being able to tell me something when I could have just fixed it in 2 seconds. So I'm close to everybody, and I don't ever want to get too big where I can't have that closeness with the families.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what people feel when they come here. The culture, it has that family vibe, and it can't possibly have that if there's a ton of separation.
No.
You wouldn't feel that. You wouldn't feel like everybody's ready to give you a hug when you come here, which is like, that's what you get, right? No matter who you are. And I love that whole idea.
But you got a hug. Tell me how you felt with your hug. Do you feel like it's like, okay, like they give hugs, it's weird? Like, what was your...
I mean, I felt so welcome when we came the first time. It's a little intimidating because there's so many people and there's like 5 of us, and we're like, it's our first time, and we're like, oh, but
did it feel like...
no, it wasn't
fake
at all.
like,
Not at all. No, it felt very warm and welcome.
Okay.
And I think that's not common, and I think it's beautiful, and I admire it.
Well, thank you. We keep it real. I mean, if you get a hug from us, it's because we really feel it. It's hard to explain. People don't really understand that from afar because they're like, man, they're just being this way because they're just, I don't know, they don't feel it. But when you're here and we have a conversation, you can look into our eyes and you give a genuine hug, you know that we care about people. You can't see it behind a camera. You really can't.
Yeah, you can't. You try, but it's like you don't get it. Like you said, until you come here, you don't really know. It's like a genuine care about what you're going through, what your day is like, and making sure that you feel good while you're here, which is kind of that sort of home feel, which I appreciate. I was thinking about this idea of like, you could really learn something from anyone. And of course, we both have kids. I have kids, you have kids, and
You've got 5 kids.
I have 5 kids. What's fascinating about kids, even the youngest kids, they can teach you so much without saying a lot, right?
It's crazy.
They're so wise, and it's like we are like, oh, I'm a CEO or I'm a business owner. We think we know so much until you spend time with a kid and they teach you what really matters. And I always say, like, children marvel in the ordinary. They notice butterflies. They notice the things that matter, like the swaying of the trees, and you're like, you can learn so much from them. And it's kind of interesting, almost mystical, in that anyone at any level, anytime, anywhere, can teach you something. You can learn something from them as long as you're open, right?
It's funny you say that because I talk about it all the time with it in leadership. I believe that I am a better leader because my kids taught me how to lead. I can have one of my kids and I can tell my son, Ian, I can tell him, hey, Ian, make your bed. And then he'll be like, okay, Mom, I'll do it in just a minute. Ian, make your bed, bud. He's like, oh, I'll do it just a minute. I tell my daughter, Sophia, make your bed. She's like, okay, Mom. She goes and she does it, right? I go back and check on Ian. Ian, did you make your bed? He's like, oh, Mama, I'm doing it right now. I'm like, Ian, if you don't make your bed, I'm going to beat your ass. And he's like, okay, Mom. And he goes and does it, right? So it's like people are led differently, or even like some people are led by, recognition. Some people are led by, gifts. We motivate our team depending on what they want to see. Like a lot of our team, though, it's the craziest thing, like what they ask for. Because we had somebody come and ask them, hey, what is it that you would like, as a, like spiffs and whatever it is that we do. And they're like, hey, I would like to go to dinner with Jacqueline and Andy. That's what they said. Like a dinner. I can go and get you a $10,000 watch, right? And you would rather go to a $500 dinner with us. Why? They're like, well, we just want to be around you. That's when you know that it's just like, it's powerful and it's really cool. But going back to being a student, like I learned so much from our kids, and I learned to treat our employees and have that personal relationship. It's like you have 5 kids. You have a special relationship with each one of your kids. It's different, and you love them all the same. And you have to be that dad and show them all a massive amount of love and know that they're all special and give them that power. And also know that it's all you guys against the world and all that stuff. It's the same thing when you're a leader and they know that they can trust you because you have their best interests. Then that's what makes you be able to take over the world. That's what makes you want to change. That's what makes you a good dad. That's what makes you a good leader. That's what makes you a good person altogether. Having that heart and knowing that, hey, you know what? I have that level of trust. That's unbelievable because it goes both ways. You know, you pay them with money and also with your heart, and you know that you make them feel powerful, and they also fight everything and work really hard for you. I mean, it goes both ways. It has to work that way. One thing that has really helped us grow and excel is that our team will do anything for us. Our team would die for us because they know that we would do the same for them, and they need to feel that. So
yeah, there's nothing like that unconditional love that you feel from your children. You know, when I come home from a long trip, like if my son's like, I love you, Daddy, you're my best friend. And it's just like, you just melt, right?
Oh my God.
And I
It's the
think
best thing in the world.
I'll tell you what I've noticed with spending time with the Elliott Group and watching the training and everything that I see here is that the real magic is that what the Elliott Group looks for is untapped or inborn potential in people, which that's what I see.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to taproot that and pull that out of people. So I'd like you to speak on that a little bit if you can, which is, do you think a lot of people are walking around with untapped potential, and do you think everyone has inborn potential yet to be realized?
Andy and I are addicted to finding the underdogs. I mean, we came from not the best childhoods. We are the least likely to make it, honestly, in everything that we've done. So we have this tendency to find those underdogs, those people that probably are unsure of themselves, but that want a second chance, the people that were addicted to something, the people that have probably been let down, the people that, have gotten into some type of trouble, and give them that second chance. You think about like really making an impact in the world is giving these people hope and knowing that, hey, you know what? You need to forgive yourself and you need to be equipped with the right information and the people in your life that don't judge you, but also are willing to see you recreate, because we're a product of recreation. We're a product of messing up and learning from our mistakes and actually growing and taking over. And that's why people, I mean, nobody likes, the Hollywood movie of the perfect person growing up and having everything. Like, they want that comeback story. We're addicted to finding those people. And there's so many people out there that just need to learn to forgive themselves and quit comparing themselves to other people and seeing what they're lacking, but focus on what they do have as qualities and just focus on growing. And we're really good at finding people and seeing the lost, and we're drawn to those people. I don't know what it is that we have in our hearts, because we can resonate with those people and we can see when they're lost, and we're drawn to them because we know that they can make the big comeback story just like us.
Yeah, and I think, what good is it in trying to help someone who's got it figured out already? You need to help someone that's broken, right?
Yeah, it's about recreation. It's about recreating ourselves. And yeah, we have a lot of clients that are doing very well, but there's another level, and they've gone through some type of recreation before to get to where they are. We don't ever hire the perfect client or the perfect employee.
Yeah, and the second you think you're perfect, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligent people are always impressed with their own ignorance. Ignorant people are always impressed with their own intelligence. So yesterday there was a scene. There was a gentleman, which I thought was great. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit. Who was a little bit behind. He was running in the workout, and there was something that went down on stage. I wonder if you could talk about, his shirt got torn off, and it was pretty exciting. And I think that kind of speaks to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So if you could walk us through that story a little bit and tell us what happened there.
So I was running up. I mean, we had this. It was like a hill. It's an uphill street, and I don't know if it's a mile and a half up and then down. So it's Bobby. Bobby's a little out of shape, but you can tell he wanted to push him. He decided to make that run because he wanted to push himself, and he came here because he wanted to recreate. He's wearing an Anytime Fitness shirt, and he's like running, right? And there was a gentleman next to him that you can tell he can run like laps around everybody. You can tell that he was just trying to help him. He was trying to push and motivate him. And I told him, Bobby, listen, I think you made the decision to be here. You made the decision to make this run. You're going to finish this run, and you're going to get to that top. And when you come down, you're going to be so proud of yourself. So you're going to continue on with this, right? So he goes, and the other guy next to him, he's pushing him, he's motivating him, he's going. He never left his side. So at the end of the run, I'm like, hey, you finished it. That's great. So I pulled him up on stage because I saw he was so proud of himself and his eyes changed after he completed that run. And it was so hard for him. He was puking along the way. He was stopping and he was like basically like trying to puke, but he hadn't eaten anything. So it was just basically like just trying to, but he couldn't, but he kept stopping to puke. But anyway, he made it through the run and he was proud of himself. So I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to get you an Elliott shirt. But not only that, I pulled him up on stage and he was a 2XL, right? So I told him, hey, Bobby, I pulled him on stage and I said, I'm going to recognize a guy that I noticed that he is just ready to change his life. I saw a change in him, just like I saw in Andy when he decided, to change. And I saw a lot of people through the workout go through that same thing, that all it was is a decision, right? So I pulled him up on stage and I said, Bobby, we're going to rip off this Anytime Fitness shirt, right? And then I had Big Ry, he literally goes and he grabs it and pulls it off of him and rips it off. And I'm going to give you an Elliott shirt because now you're part of Elliott Army, but I'm going to give you a 2XL shirt, right? And in 90 days, and I brought another shirt, you're going to put on this XL shirt, okay? And you're going to get out of that 2XL and you're going to get into the XL, right? You have 90 days to get there and you're going to do the same thing by pulling that shirt off and taking off. And then I said, I also want to recognize the gentleman that was pushing him along the way because people don't really see that. I said, if it weren't for you, Bobby wouldn't have finished this. And sometimes you need to find that person that is willing to push you and piss you off. And even though you want to freaking smash them against the wall, they're going to tell you the truth. And sometimes people don't see that. And later, I pulled him up on stage and, and I gave him an Elliott shirt too as well and everything. And he's like, after that, I got a phone call. Actually, this morning, I got a phone call from Ian, one of our coaches. And he's like, hey, I just want to tell you the gentleman that you pulled up, he's in the military. And, he said that you reminded him of what it was like to actually be that and caring and being a part of a team and pushing people. And that was his calling. And now he's going to come back and he's going to do some really special stuff because he realized that was a part of him, that identity that he had when he was in the military. He lost and he hadn't seen that in years. And that he didn't even realize that he was doing that when he was motivating that guy to continue with the run. And he's like, you lit a fire in him that he did not remember that he had. And I was like, that's just super cool. Not only did Bobby change and he has this goal and change his eyes, but that guy that was actually pushing him. So a lot of people don't have that person. And sometimes these people are those people and they forget who they are and they have a natural gift to do that. And that's how you find fulfillment off of helping people and pushing them to grow. And we're sometimes uncomfortable doing so. It's just a sense of this cool transformation thing. And when I saw Bobby's eyes, I'm telling you, I've seen those eyes in Andy. I've seen those eyes in people that we've trained. I've seen those eyes in our coaches. I've seen those eyes in our kids when they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired and there's a switch. So it's a pretty beautiful thing that we get to experience. And this is why we're so addicted to what we do, is we see that flip, that change, that transformation, that, man, I'm capable. And it's just pretty awesome. So
I think therein lies the fairy dust, for lack of a better term, that the Elliott Group brings, is that they see something in you can't see in yourself. Am I correct? That is the magic, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happened with this gentleman.
Yeah.
He was waiting for someone to believe in him, which
right.
brought him to which he was willing to push himself and do what he did. And the same thing for this ex-military member. You saw something in him, and that's the real magic, isn't it?
Yeah, he didn't realize he was doing it, but it reminded him of what his purpose really is, which is pretty awesome. But I mean, the universe is very giving. You have a lot of opportunities in your lifetime, and I think that sometimes you just have to push a little bit harder to actually hit that breakthrough. And that's the thing, that a lot of people give up prematurely, too soon, or they see the noise or they see the obstacles that come along the way, and they just needed to push a little bit harder to just get there. And that's what Bobby did. He was wanting to give up so many times and he just pushed a little harder. But once you get to that breakthrough moment and you just get that momentum, you just have to ride on the momentum bus. I mean, just go with it, because it was all downhill from there. And if you stay on that momentum instead of just watching it just fly by, then you can definitely make it. Winners live where quitters quit. I mean, that's a true saying, and we wholeheartedly believe that, is that you're going to have to get addicted to some of that hard shit in order to make something happen. That's why owning a business is so hard, because it's really hard. There's a lot of shit that comes
really
your
is.
way, and there's a lot of obstacles, and everybody seems to give up. And that's the difference. And that's the thing. If you can endure that pain and you can make it a part of your identity, a part of your DNA, you will find so much fulfillment on the other side that it will not be pain anymore. You find that addiction of being uncomfortable. So that discomfort actually becomes comfort later. And it's the craziest thing because that's the only way that you find growth.
Yeah, don't stop before the miracle, in other words, right?
That's right. Right. Yeah. That breakthrough.
Yeah. Was that good?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
You have to have a little fun with it too.
Of course.
Don't you? Should I be like more like this, like Sears?
Sears.
The Sears photo?
Perfect.
Jackie, I just have an important question.
Yes, sir.
When you were a kid, did your parents ever make you take photos at Sears? Family photos?